How's it going, guys? Good evening. My name is Ben with my buddy Hugh. We are the ESA, the Illicit Sports Authority, talking NFL preseason and what our show is going to look like moving forward into the regular season. Hugh, my friend, how are you doing, sir?
Man, doing pretty good. Been watching some preseason football, but that when it gets too exciting, I'm ready for week one.
Well, our last show, you were coming off of zero sleep in about a week, so you look refreshed, ready to lose some arguments, I'm sure. So we can get right into it. Talk some preseason. A little shorter show today, we hope. Once again, the show will be brought to you by Keen Nutrition. Check it out at keennutrition.goherbalife.com. Is that right?
Yeah.
.com. Okay.
Oh yeah.
We'll have a link in the description, and tell people about Keen Nutrition.
Yeah, man. I started this journey a few months ago, and actually it's more of a 2 months ago, being pretty much full time. I've lost almost 20 pounds with it, and they got some good products there, that we sell. And one of the biggest products I use is Prolesa. Basically, that just helps fight, the fat cells and some of the other stuff that, when you eat hamburgers and pizzas, that, it helps kind of level it out, and you also lose weight. They also got some tea stuff right here, and that I drink. That's basically, I don't even drink coffee anymore, or even really drink sodas. This right here helps you keep the caffeine and keep the day going, but with no crash. And it's not like an energy drink, so it keeps you going, and you just don't fall apart at the end. So that's the good stuff, and we will have the description below for the websites and everything like that. So please go look at some of this stuff, and love to help you out.
Well, awesome, man. We appreciate Keen Nutrition helping out with the show, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck in that endeavor. But to our endeavor, we'll go ahead and start with some news out of some interesting training camps and preseasons. Let's start right in Jacksonville. And news that just broke a couple days ago. Hugh, what do you think about Tim Tebow being released?
It's not a shocker. That's the number one thing that I can say. To me, I think it was a marketing ploy. His jersey, number 85, was one of the top selling jerseys. To me, I'm thinking, well, what better way to bring in money? And it's in Florida, where that's where he's from. Why not? Bring in a Tim Tebow. He's not going to tear a locker room up before the roster cut. He's not going to kick and scream like a baby, like some would. So why not make the money off of people that want that number, that 85 jersey? To me, it's a marketing ploy. I don't see anything else besides that.
I agree. It was a marketing ploy. I would disagree with what you said, that he would not tear a locker room up. I think he's about as divisive as they come, as polarizing as a player can be. Some of the locker room, I guarantee, was not happy that he was in there fighting for a fourth or fifth string tight end spot over, someone else that could have been in there that was much younger and frankly much more qualified. So, if they were really looking to milk this as a marketing scheme, why didn't they keep him into the regular season? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm guessing it's because Urban thinks, you know what, if I cut this guy, I might actually gain more respect than keeping him on the team because of their history together. So it was inevitable. He's not a tight end. He really wasn't that great of a quarterback when he was playing quarterback. Great college player, not one of the better college players ever, but not an NFL player. And like you said, definitely not a shocker to see him cut off of the worst roster in the NFL. So, Tim Tebow, failed experiment, but something to talk about.
Yeah, and the thing is too, his days are over now.
Yes.
And this was a last effort on his part, trying to take advantage of an opportunity that had pretty much no chance. But like I said, I still believe, this is just to make money. And Meyer, I know that he likes, Tebow. I mean, there's nothing to really, maybe not like, but Meyer's got to go out there and show something this year. And yeah, I'm not saying it relating to wins. I'm talking about decisions, because the buck stops at him now, and that's where it needs to be. Because I don't have high expectations for Meyer, but I'm not going to write him off because he is a good coach.
I think he's a great coach. I think he can succeed in the NFL, especially with Trevor Lawrence the new offensive pieces they have. Excuse me, but they have a long way to go in terms of building a complete roster. It's still a bad roster, and it's still 75% of that roster still needs to go. So I don't have many expectations for this season for Urban Meyer as far as wins, like you said. So yeah, him making this decision does gain him some credibility in a pro locker room, I think. And I would say that he has a pretty long leash. He has a couple years, as does Lawrence, to really figure it out. I think this is not going to be an overnight process. The Jags have been a pretty terribly run organization since their inception. So he'll have a number of years to get it right. Lawrence will have a long rope as well. I don't expect much in the way of wins for them this year, but check them out in 2022, 2023. We'll see if Urban can continue building a team. We'll see if Lawrence can progress and they can get more pieces around them. He's a great coach. So definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
So what do you think? Who do you think is going to start week 1? Minshew or Lawrence?
Definitely Lawrence. I don't think that's
you don't believe in any of that talk that Meyer's saying, that coach talk.
No, absolutely not.
To me, I think Lawrence needs to be the quarterback and just stay the quarterback and see what happens. I mean, they do have a decent wide receiver group. It's not like it's terrible.
No, it's actually pretty good. And I failed to mention a couple of names when we talked about them last week or 2 weeks ago. Laviska Shenault, what a great rookie season he had. And I just completely forgot about him on the roster. Yeah. He'll be great for Lawrence. Etienne will split out wide and also take some carries. James Robinson out of the backfield. You have Shark and Marvin Jones is one I also forgot. Absolutely. So their wide receiver core is actually above average. The rest of the team, sneaky, yeah. The rest of the team needs to catch up. Maybe they can start with offensive line here soon, but and then all of the defense is bad. Maybe Miles Jack is the one good bright spot.
Yeah, and Lawrence is not he's not a Kyler Murray in the sense of mobility, but he's mobile. He can move.
Yeah.
So so you'll give him some time. And the tight wide receivers they got, they're not, they got some speed to them. So there's a good chance that we can see some good numbers out of Lawrence. But then again, it is the Jaguars.
I think the offense will be much improved. The win total won't be too high, but the offense will be exciting. And they could build something going forward. I do like what they're doing. And that Tim Tebow news kind of kickstarted that whole conversation. So I'll definitely be watching. I said it in our opening show here. Definitely the most interesting Jags team I've ever seen. So I'll be watching.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, hey, when football's on, football's on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock Sunday. I'm useless elsewhere besides in front of the TV. So,
well, I am too. So,
let's go ahead and get into Foxborough. Let's talk about the New England Patriots a little bit. The big question is Cam Newton or Mac Jones. I'm firmly still in Cam Newton's corner for the starting spot week 1. You told me you were in Mac Jones's corner last time we discussed this. Both played well against the Eagles just last night in their 35-0 thrashing of the second and third string Eagles, which is pretty ugly. The preseason, so, but they both played well. Cam Newton is still throwing short passes mainly, if not almost always. Mac Jones looks a little smoother to me. Definitely a little less athletic. What's your take on the quarterback battle in Foxborough?
I think what I've seen after all the, if you take away certain things with the passing rating, they're both the same at last night. Now, it is a preseason game. So, do if you were playing against their third string, then, or, those kind of numbers really are, I wouldn't say useless, but they can be inflated.
For sure. Is it telling that both preseason games for the Patriots now Cam Newton has started? Does that mean anything to you?
It does in a way. I really think I may be leaning to Cam Newton start week 1.
Yeah.
I really think that is very possible. Now, I do think there'll be a short leash on that. Mac Jones is very capable of stepping in and playing at the same level, if not better, immediately. But being a veteran like Cam Newton is, much as I don't really like to say it because he's had a lot of opportunities to prove himself. But if you look at the beginning of last season, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great, But it will be the Mac Jones show probably by the end of the year. That is the future. And he's a really good quarterback. I think he's going to be really good. I really do. I don't, I couldn't compare him to anybody that would be like coming straight out. But I don't think that's really needs to be the conversation. They got Myers. I think he's going to break out this year. I really, but then again, if you got Cam Newton, is Myers going to break out with him more, or is he going to break out with Mac Jones? And I think that's going to be the telltale, because Cam Newton is not going to throw past 15 yards accurately.
No, he won't. But he did throw a touchdown pass to Myers last night.
Yep,
it was a nice crossing route, about 10 yards down past the line of scrimmage. Myers caught it and turned on the Jets and scored. It was a good touchdown. But that's what you're going to have to see out of Cam. I mean, you're not going to get deep balls over the shoulder into the breadbasket. That's just not what he's going to do. So,
no.
I do agree that Mac Jones could see the field by year's end as the starter. It'll really depend on how the season's going, because Cam Newton is the veteran, most likely the more respected guy in that locker room. Has had a year under the playbook of Josh McDaniels, so he should be leaps and bounds better than he was last year. And let's not forget, last year in the beginning of the season, the first 3 games, he was putting up great numbers. They were 2-1. They were 2-1. They were about a arm's length away against the Seahawks from being 3-0. And Newton was playing great, and he seemed like he lost his confidence somewhere in the middle of the season. But we'll see if he could regain some of that form from 2014, 2015. I don't think he's that guy anymore. He's not an MVP caliber player by any means, but he's also not a bench player yet, I don't think. So I think he's the starter, and I think it's his job to lose heading into the third week of preseason.
And to what it sounds like, both of their tight ends that they spent some money on, it seems like, they're going to be okay. So that's a good thing, because when you don't throw past 15 yards accurately, you're going to rely on them.
Yes.
And also too, they can block, help you out a little bit more, because you don't want to have your third string out and they're blocking for you. And so, and their wide receiver group's I don't know. It's not mediocre. I mean, you got Harry Aguilar, Bourne, and you got Myers.
Better than it was last year.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not great, but it has been improved a little bit. And Myers.
It's never been always a great, even when Tom Brady was there. So
No, never.
So the blueprint of wide receivers being great. Now, did Tom Brady make some of them great? Yeah, probably did. You have the greatest player of all time.
Yes.
But yeah, Mac Jones and Newton, they're both showing a lot of good to me. So whoever goes out week one, I think it's going to be just fine for them. But we'll have to see on that. But Mac Jones will be probably the quarterback at the end of the year.
That's very possible. Just keep in mind, Patriots will be a sneaky team this year. Watch out, Buffalo. Watch out, Miami. They'll be.
You do have the great coach.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I can't wait to watch what they bring. Getting a lot of defenders back as well from the opt-out season. Let's get over to Soldier Field in Chicago for the Bears. We have 3 quarterbacks who we need to talk about in this situation. You got Justin Fields, the sensational rookie. The fans want him, obviously, to start right away. You have Andy Dalton, who is the presumed starter. And you have Nick Foles, who might be making he is making the most on in the quarterback room as the third string. And he wants out, it looks like. So a lot of drama going on with 3 quarterbacks there. What do you make of that situation?
Well, you should have gave more of an entry for Foles. I think that you should have said the future Hall of Famer Eagles player. You should have done, but we'll come across this eventually, more likely. But the quarterback situation is in between Dalton and Fields. You take Foles out.
Yes. I'm not saying Foles is competing for the job, but he's making noise as a third stringer. He's getting paid, and he's getting paid a lot of money. And teams, I'm sure there's a couple teams that could use him in the right capacity, not as a franchise starter, but in the right capacity. So,
to me, you got the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, and you got the rookie Fields. Undoubtedly, Dalton should be the starting quarterback. There should be no discussion on that. But Vegas is also now looking at, yes, Andy Dalton's still the favorite to start, but Fields is, his odds are getting better to start for week 1. So, Andy Dalton is not a good quarterback. He's not, but he's, I guess, efficient enough a little bit. You know what you're going to get from him. Fields, Yes, he's played in preseasons. He's looked good. Practice, yes. But put him in a real game. Let's see what happens. Is that week one? Well, to be honest with you, I kind of hope so. I kind of hope the Bears lose for the Packers' sake. But I don't think they're going to be a real contender. To me, I think they should trade Khalil Mack and get rid of him. And actually, they didn't really need him then. They don't need him now. Yes, he's a great player. But let's get Fields some more playmakers, wide receivers and stuff like that, so that he can show his potential, and where there be no excuses, because they only have one real good wide receiver, and that's Allen Robinson.
Yes.
So to me, it's one of those things where, yeah, Matt is good. Matt's going to be great, but while he's still at the top of his game, why not get rid of him? Get some players that can come in and help Fields out immediately.
Okay. I agree. They could get rid of Mack and get a load for him back. A couple of draft picks, a good player or two for sure. There are teams that will take Khalil Mack in a heartbeat and give up a ton for him. I agree with you as well that the Bears will not be true contenders this year. But if they're not going to be contenders, why not start Fields? Why wouldn't you start Fields? If you're not planning on winning anyway, get the kid some experience. This is the problem with Tua last year, is that Miami was in the running for a playoff spot, and they went with Fitzpatrick because Fitzpatrick was giving them the best chance to win on a weekly basis. And then at the end of the year, they didn't make the playoffs. And Tua missed out on all that experience he should have gotten as the rookie quarterback. Just for them to be ousted after week 17, just like they would have been had he been playing. So give Justin Fields the start. Andy Dalton, you know what he is. You need to see what Justin Fields is, because he's dynamic. That first preseason game when he came onto the field, he got a standing ovation. The crowd is hungry for him to be the starter. They're hungry for a franchise quarterback in Chicago, and I don't think they've ever had one, like a true decade plus franchise quarterback. So I think they absolutely have to start Fields, and what you're getting with Andy Dalton, and it's not much.
Yeah,
so
it's not. And the thing is too is now. And especially it's going to come out in this preseason game versus the Bills. I think the Bears fans should be so happy Trubisky's not there. That experiment or whatever kind of thing they were doing with him is done, finally. And
let's not forget Trubisky had a winning record in Chicago. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, but
I just let's not forget, because Trubisky at the end didn't look too great, but he won a lot of games for Chicago. He was well over 500 in his starts. So be careful what you wish for is all I'm saying. I'm not saying he was great, and I'm sure they're happy he's gone. But do you think Andy Dalton's going to be well above 500 in his tenure in Chicago? I don't. So just go with the rookie. Well, you just said you think Dalton's going to be the starter, and he should be. That's what you just said.
He should be in the real world, but then, Fields. Here's the other kicker thing with this. If Fields plays with David Montgomery as the running back, that's an intriguing duo.
Yeah, so, and Allen Robinson on the outside as well. I mean, all of the pieces that Chicago has on offense are amplified by Justin Fields, and they are almost suppressed by Andy Dalton. So get the dynamic kid out there, let him learn, take the good with the bad, give him the experience of both, and find out if you have your guy. Don't sit on him for a year. It's not 2005 anymore.
You talked me into it. Fields going to start week 1. You can go 0-6 maybe.
That's fine. He'll put up some great fantasy numbers, and
Yep.
he'll wow some fans.
Take some pressure off Dave Montgomery because they don't have a backup. So, what they
Tariq
got
Cohen, you do got Cohen,
Yeah.
who was a big part of that offense. I touched on him a little bit last show, but he's not progressing. He's not progressing as fast in his rehab as hoped. So we'll see if he's even available for week 1.
Even if he is, it's going to be a limited role. You have a David Montgomery. He's pretty good, and
well, they're different players.
Team him up with Fields. Put him in there. I'll watch it.
I will definitely watch it, man. Let's get into the top 5. We always do a top 5, and today we're doing top 5 intriguing fantasy players for the year. We got some names that might be a little out there, but we have some strong opinions on these guys. And let's go ahead and start it off with Antonio Gibson, Washington tailback. What's your thoughts on Antonio Gibson coming into his sophomore season?
Well, all I hear is they're wanting to put him in the same role as Christian McCaffrey.
Wow.
Is that a good idea? I don't know about that, but I think the workload on Christian McCaffrey as a football standpoint is a little much in a sense, but you're trying to get all the good when you can get it. As a fantasy kind of look, there's no reason not to get Gibson. There's not really a backup. Was it McKissick maybe behind him? That he's not even close to Gibson. Not even in the same atmosphere with him. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Plug him in. If like we got to draft tomorrow. If he's available, grab him.
Absolutely. I did fail to mention, I was going to say, we are in a fantasy league together, a 12-team league. We do have a draft tomorrow night. So that's kind of what inspired these intriguing players for us.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to be honest with you, when I was looking at the research for Antonio Gibson, I talked myself into maybe taking him pretty high. He started 10 games last year. Let's see, over 1,000 scrimmage yards, 36 catches, 11 touchdowns. Just like I said, 10 games starting. You bring in Fitzpatrick, so that's the kind of quarterback that will check it down just as much as he'll take chances. So Gibson will get those catches. If he starts 17 games, that's obviously more touches. He had almost over 200 touches last year. I'm sure they want to get him somewhere in the 300 to 350 range this year. On top of that, the Washington football team offensive line is graded number 3 by Pro Football Talk this year. They're returning 4 of 5 starters. I could see a phenomenal, and their defense is really good. And teams with good defense usually pair with good running games. I've noticed. So I could see a phenomenal year for Antonio Gibson. Maybe a sneaky guy. May break into the top 10 in terms of backs for sure. So you'll get him in a 12-team league in a 4th or 5th round. I think that's a great spot for him, and we'll see how that plays out tomorrow night.
Yeah. You never know.
Let's see here. Let's bring in a guy by the name of Calvin Ridley. Now he is the number 1 unquestioned in Atlanta. Surprising year last year where whoever took him got a treat. 90 catches, almost 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. Was the number 1 last year in terms of fantasy production by far in Atlanta. This year you have Kyle Pitts to, I believe, take a defender off of him that Julio was doing last year. So you still have that extra target. He's not going to be on the outside as much as Julio was. But Calvin Ridley, bona fide stud wide receiver, still got Matt Ryan thrown to him. Arthur Smith, new coach, offensive-minded guy instead of Dan Quinn, defensive-minded guy. So I'm expecting a good year from Calvin Ridley. Now, what I'll say is I don't think he'll have a great year. I don't. What I mean by that is I don't think he'll go over the numbers he posted last year. So what do you do? 90 catches last year, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. I could see him getting somewhere in the 85 to 90 catches, same amount of yards. I could see him posting a similar year to last year. And that would be, in my opinion, a win. So if you're expecting more than that from him, he's going to be blanketed by two defenders every game this year. So I would expect, if he stays healthy, about the similar stat line to last year, and people need to be okay with that. Where do you stand on him?
I know I said in the last show, he's one of my favorite receivers. Now being number one. He does have Matty Ice. Matty Ice, I know sometimes, you got to just about hate him if you play him, but he's still a pretty good fantasy quarterback. So in the sense of that, Ridley is the number one. Gage is number two. Now you have, you got Pitts, and now Mike Davis is the running back.
Yep.
So to me, I don't see the Falcons being any different. Of course, Julio didn't really play all that much, really. So it's not really like. So these numbers may have been inflated a little bit, but then you're talking about two, he'll be double covered. I don't see him going under that number that he did, the 90 receptions, the almost 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. I see him being that or a little bit more, but that's pretty much his ceiling, I see. Now, Kyle Pitts, that's another person I'd really be intrigued by.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's going to be like a hybrid tight end wide receiver.
He is going late in mock drafts.
Very late. And actually, some of them not even taken at all, which is absolutely insane.
You're going to take him in a 10 or 12 team league, but he's going late. I don't understand why he's going so late. Top 5 tight end, almost for sure, in my opinion.
And he is a red zone target. Like, he does not drop all in the red zone.
Even if he wasn't, you have Matt Ryan throwing to you in that offense. That offense is potent every year. Matt Ryan puts up numbers every year, no matter who he's throwing to. Hayden Hurst got some numbers last year. Who's the guy in Cleveland? What's his name? Austin Hooper. He got numbers as well. Before that, Gonzalez got numbers at the end of his career in Atlanta. Julio Jones for a decade put up great numbers.
Here's the thing. The defense has always been their issue. It's never really been their offense.
And it'll be their issue again, and that means they'll have to throw the ball more and more again.
And with two fast wide receivers really engaged, Kyle Pitts is going to be good. But in the topic of Ridley, that also helps him also too. With a guy like Kyle Pitts, even Gage, the Falcons are going to be a very intriguing option to target as a fantasy team. Now, I wouldn't get their defense, that's for darn certain, but those two, I don't know if I can get to Gage, maybe in 12 team. I don't know, but
if you're playing 12 team, someone's taking Gage, or someone should as a third receiver.
Well, also too, if something happened to Ridley,
absolutely,
or even Kyle Pitts.
Yes, Gage needs to be
wrecked the darn NFL.
I agree. I agree. Top 5 tight end, I believe, this year, fantasy-wise, easy. I mean, he's a phenomenal talent. Atlanta never disappoints on the offensive side of the ball. So watch out for Ridley. Watch out for Kyle Pitts. 12-team league, 9th, 10th, 11th round. Russell Gage, look at him. That'd be a great third receiver, I think. Let's go over to the Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford. Big trade to grab him, send Goff over to Detroit. What's your outlook on Stafford for 2021?
Well, he's finally got out of a terrible place to play. I mean, he's got good receivers. I mean, you got Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson. You also got Tyler Higbee as your tight end. And, you have a good running back there too. So, I mean, to me, their expectations should be to win their division. I mean, and to be honest with you, it's in between them and probably the Cardinals for me. But we done disagreed on that.
Yeah, we got into this can of worms last week. We don't need to again.
Yeah, I mean, but to me, Stafford is a great fantasy option.
Okay.
I don't see him being I don't see him lasting long in the quarterback, picking of the fantasy.
I agree with that. I'll kind of reiterate what I said about Stafford last show. What is his defining moment as a quarterback? He's a stats monster, and he had a great year last year in terms of fantasy numbers. He's always finds himself right on the outside or right inside the top 10, right in that 8 to 12 area in terms of ranking for quarterbacks. I think he'll be right in that same ranking this year. I don't think he's going to move up because he moved to a better team. McVay's a power running guy that runs play action off of the run. Stafford aired it out in Detroit. I don't think he'll air it out as much in Los Angeles. I think when he does, he'll be more accurate because he'll be put in better positions with more talented players around him. But I don't see a huge jump in terms of production because he made this move, maybe even a decline. That's my take on it. He'll still be 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in that ranking. But again, what is his defining moment? He definitely makes a lot of bad decisions himself. You can't blame it all on Detroit. I mean, he was throwing to Calvin Johnson for years. He got to throw to Kenny Golladay. Marvin Jones was a veteran that was there for a while. He had good players to throw to. He had T.J. Hawkinson, great tight end rookie last year. So, what is his defining moment? I can't think of one.
Well, I don't think you really need one.
In over a decade in the NFL. I think he gives the Rams a better chance to win, but in terms of fantasy, I see a straight line. I don't see any jump or really decline in production. Pretty much a straight line.
For the team wise, he's better than Goff.
Sure.
That's no doubt. That's no doubt. And for fantasy purposes, he don't have to be flashy. He doesn't have to be flashy, but flashy is nice. But to me,
I didn't say he wasn't flashy.
I think he's going to ball out. I think that he has enough around him. Yes, they do like to run, but he's not going to last long.
I agree with that. I just don't see a tremendous jump in production because the offense is balanced and they may be running it a lot. And who are they handing this to? Seems like they're going to be handing it to Daryl Henderson, who is our fourth player to talk about. And he's one that I've been looking at real closely, especially since Cam Akers went down with the unfortunate Achilles tear who Akers was going to be there every down back.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's looking like it could be Henderson. We were worried it may be a timeshare split between Henderson and the rookie that came in there, but it seems like the Rams are all in on Henderson. At least that's according to reports that I've read. When they drafted him a couple of years ago, he was supposed to be the heir apparent to Todd Gurley.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really pan out that way. They kind of had a running back by committee for a year, and then Akers kind of took the reins of that job when in his rookie season last year. But Daryl Henderson says, "Not so fast. I'm still here on the roster, and I am the best running back on this roster now that Akers is down with injury." I think they have a phenomenal offensive line. They have a great play action game, which, they help each other out. Running the ball well helps your play action game, and running a good play action game helps you run the ball. So I like Daryl Henderson. I don't think you need to take him early, but if you're in a 12-team league and you take him 8th, 9th round, I think he'd be a phenomenal RB2 for you. Look out for Daryl Henderson. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, they're wanting to go all in on him. The way it sounds.
That's what I've read.
I mean, like you said, if you give him that late in your draft, I mean, grab him. I mean, what's the worst thing to happen? He doesn't do exactly what he's capable of doing or what he has done. Him being healthy may be a little bit of an issue. So, I don't want to jump too quick on it, but I could see him having 800 to 900 to almost 1,000-yard season. I can see if he stays healthy, I don't see why he couldn't. But, I said, you're talking about the rookie. They're wanting to compare him to Christian McCaffrey. Now, I don't really like to compare that kind of stuff because, I haven't seen him in person out there. But Jake Funk, if something happened to Daryl Henderson, I could see something. I could see him going out there doing well. I mean, they're going to have to go all in on him if Daryl Henderson did go out.
Right. Absolutely.
It's not deep. It's not a deep running back room. I mean, so, but Daryl Henderson, yes, grab him if you can. I mean, not the first round, not second round, somewhere below that. Be good time to get him.
Absolutely. Jake Funk, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, that was the rookie I was alluding to as well, and I've read good things about him. I don't know much about him, but I from what it looks like, the Rams really like him as well. It's not that deep anymore. They had Akers, who was going to be the bona fide starter. He's gone. You get rid of Malcolm Brown last year or this offseason. He's in Miami now. And he was kind of a stalwart in that locker room for a number of years as the number 2, number 3 back. So when you lose a guy like that, that kind of does take the air out of a running back room sometimes. But I like Daryl Henderson. If you can get 800 to 900 yards, 6 touchdowns on the ground, maybe 25 catches, $180 to 200 yards, and a receiving touchdown or 2, that'd be a phenomenal season. And I think those are all well within possibility. So, especially if he holds that reins as a starter and doesn't share time with anybody, I could definitely see that. I'm all in on him, just as the Rams are. I really like Daryl Henderson.
And that's a knock on Stafford with Akers being out. Also,
yes. Yep.
So you have to think about that, but you don't think about quarterbacks until you start getting down the draft anyway. So, these are some of the other players, these skill positions, your wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends, you need to get, because especially in certain formats that each league has, you need to pay attention to that, because some of these groups don't have a very large depth as a fantasy options. So tight ends, I mean, maybe 1 So you just got to do it. And running backs is a little iffy position, also. When you make your decisions about rostering. So those are things to think of.
Running back gets pretty thin pretty quickly in 12-team leagues. So let's get into the fifth player. Let's go to Philadelphia. Philadelphia drafted at 10th overall Devonta Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. But let's talk about Jalen Rager. And this was huge. I apologize, everybody. This was Hugh's pick. So let's see what he has to say about Rager.
Fly, Eagles, fly. You never thought I would ever say that, did you?
No.
They're going to fly. They're going to fly. They got 2 good young wide receivers. At probably the next 5 years, they may be 2 most dynamic wide receivers. We'll have to see.
Wow.
But before I get too caught up in my emotions about that, is, what did he have? He had Rager had 31 receptions, 396 yards, 12.8 average. That's not great numbers by any means. But to me, they had a problem with Wentz, and then they went to a rookie quarterback in Hurts. So you basically have a situation where you got to think between the lines because, those numbers look terrible, really. I mean, not terrible, but for what it is. So to me, now, he got more reps. He's been out there. Of course, Devonta Smith's going to take up some of his, time with that. But Devonta Smith is the number 2 compared to Rager. Rager, to me, is going to ball out this year.
Oh, okay.
To me, Devonta Smith there, that's going to take some off. You got Goddard. You got Sanders as your running back. And you got Ertz, because Ertz is going to play this year, and he's going to show all the haters that he still got it. So, to me, Rager is going to be one of my favorite fantasy options this year.
Where are you drafting him? You could probably get him late, I would say. Just objection. I'm not trying to figure out your strategy for tomorrow night.
Oh, I know.
Objectively, where is he going? 9th, 10th round?
No, I would. I would take him sooner than that. I would.
Okay.
And it may be crazy. It may be crazy, but I will tell you something. He is going to do well this year. All the coaches say it. All the players saying it. He's showed it on the field. Yeah, preseason. I don't care about preseason. They just put football on television to sell TV slots. That's about what it is. It's a money thing. So to me, trust me, Eagles fan across the screen, trust me. He is going to do great for y'all.
Okay.
1,000-yard reception season.
I hope you're right. You said Devonta Smith is going to take some of his. What are he doesn't own any of this. There's no his anything. What are you talking about? He was when his name was called last year. The collective socially distanced fans all over the country booed in harmony for Jalen Rager. You know why? Because we had Justin Jefferson in our grasp. We had CeeDee Lamb earlier on in the grasp.
Trust me, Devonta Smith is going to be great. I don't care about his side.
Yeah, Devonta Smith. You're right. That's what I'm.
and Rager's going to be a great duo for the Eagles.
I don't like either one of their sizes, but Smith is clearly the number one. Clearly.
Well, still, I don't see how you can say Rager's not going to be good this year.
He might take a step forward, but to say he's going to go from 300 and some change to over 1,000, we can make a friendly wager off air if you want. I'm fine with that. I would love for it to happen, but as a cynical Eagles fan, I don't see that happening. I don't see a productive fantasy year, and I know Howie Roseman. I know he would love for Jalen Rager to pop, because what an awful pick that has looked like so far.
Well, how about this? So how many games do you think the Eagles are going to win this year? Just out of curiosity.
I would say somewhere in the 5 or 6 range.
Wow.
6-11 sounds about right. Unfortunately, I'm not happy about it, but I'm just being real with you.
Wow. I don't see it that low.
Well, we can agree to disagree. I hope
them continue with 3 teams in the NFC East, and that's the Washington team, Cowboys, and then it's the Eagles.
I know we talked about this a little bit last show, and I see the other team that you didn't mention winning the division, which is the Giants. But
oh goodness!
But let's get away from the NFC East. Let's get away from that. Let's get to the top 100 that recently came out. And this is always a fun one for fans to look at every year. And I thought it'd be fun for us to close the show by giving the viewers here our take on the most overvalued player and most undervalued player in that top 100. So you want to go ahead and start with one of yours?
Yeah, I'm going to make it short and sweet.
Do it.
TJ Watt, number 6. Yeah, he led the NFL in sacks and runner-up to Defense Player of the Year, but he's not better than Adams. He's not better than Derrick Henry, Diggs, Tyreek Hill, or even Jared Alexander. So, but I do see him as a top 20 player. I don't see him as almost a top 5 player. That's honestly a little bit crazy.
I had a feeling.
They must have been drinking when they did this.
I had a feeling that that one was going to catch your eye. I'm okay with that one.
Irritated me.
I'm okay with that. TJ Watt's dynamic, dude. I'm okay with that.
He's good.
So that's your most overvalued.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a good player, and there's no knock on that. I'm not saying anything about it, but to me, if you put him over players like that, there's no justification of that. There should be absolutely. There's no speculation.
Right. I'm okay. I'm okay with that pick. I caught my eye a little, but I'm okay with where he's at. It's a little high, but it's not the most overvalued for me. We're gonna go down to number 93 on this list. Kirk Cousins. Let's put him somewhere in the 150 range, please. Get Kirk Cousins out of the top 100 players in the NFL, please. And that's all I got on it. Please get him out of there.
I love it. I don't like the Vikings anyways.
That's awful. That's really bad.
Yeah. Well, you want to do the undervalue?
Yeah, go ahead.
This guy does not get enough credit. at all. And I don't know why. And I guess it's because of the team he plays on. But they've done a really good job, and they're starting to try to contend. And that's Nick Chubb at number 63.
Absolutely.
This guy should be in between top 10 and top 20. I mean, he should be over TJ Watt. and this guy's a beast. I mean, back-to-back seasons, 1,000 yards. In 3 seasons, he's had 28 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
And I think his first year was 2018. I think he was injured.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and he also has a teammate that happens to be the backup running back in Hunt, which is amazing. Like, you don't have a duo like that because Hunt's a totally different style player.
Right.
But Chubb, he's no Chubb. He can run. So, how in the world can this guy be number 63 and he's putting up numbers that are crazy? And then you got TJ Watt, that's 6. It makes no sense to me. I'm telling you, I think they're drinking when they did this.
Well, I agree with you. And actually, Nick Chubb was someone I was thinking about picking for my most undervalued as well. I completely agree with that. He's way too low. I think the reason why TJ Watt is so high is because the edge rusher is becoming like a prominent or has really in the last 5 years become a prominent position, something that affects football games maybe more so than any other position outside quarterback. So that's why they're kind of putting those guys higher, and they're kind of softening on running back. So I could see why they each got kind of the spots they were in. But Nick Chubb's way too low. I think TJ Watt is in a decent spot. I think he's top 10 or he's close to it. I would say top 15, probably not top 5 or top 6, but top 15. But Nick Chubb also top 15, and he's way too low. And so that was number 63. Is that what you said?
Yeah, number 63.
All right, I'm going to go to number 53. Let's go Darius Leonard, linebacker for the Colts. He is behind Fred Warner. He's behind Levante David and Devin White in Tampa. He's behind Bobby Wagner. And those are all great linebackers. But Darius Leonard is maybe, besides Devin White, he's the youngest one of them. And maybe the most impactful. And he's the heart and soul of the Colts defense. And 53 is a little too low. I think he needs to be somewhere in the top 30. Very, very important piece. If they lose him, they lose a quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. Great young player. Just got a massive contract and deserves it. And he's definitely too low. Top 30, top 25 is kind of where he should be.
Yeah. I was thinking more top, 30 to 40, but yeah, top, he could be that way. Yeah. That's way undervalued there. That these two undervalued players that we both spoke of, I don't know what they were thinking. I really don't. It's really honestly almost disrespectful. But the thing is a player like Nick Chubb and Leonard, that's a chip on their shoulder.
Absolutely. And not every player even cares about this kind of a thing.
No, they don't.
But some do. Some do. So they may be two of the ones that do. Young players tend to care more than older players, I think. And if it is a chip on their shoulder, I'm sure they'll use it as fuel because they are both phenomenal. Nick Chubb is great. I can't believe I didn't even realize he was that low. He did catch my eye, and I did want to talk about him, but I was thinking he was somewhere in the 40s. When you said 63, that's far.
I scrolled down and I said, "Where is Nick Chubb?" And I went past 50, and I was like, "He cannot not be on this list."
Far too low.
And I'm like, "This is disrespectful." Like, this is terrible. You have one of the best running backs in the past couple of years at number 63.
Yes, and no sign that he's not going to be the best, one of the best in the next couple of years as well.
I mean, he's a top 2 to 3 round fantasy pick.
Oh, he's a top 5 running back for sure.
And I would even argue, and if you late in the first round, I don't know if I would say I wouldn't take him, but I would say I will take him. But
I agree.
He would be on my thoughts. And this year's been, the media and everything talking about fantasy, they've been talking about really not really going running back the first round. Hard not to pick Chubb late in the first round if you're picking 11th, 12th, something like that. Because then you flip over. But then it flips over the second round, then you're like one of the top ones.
Right. So, and you'll be, if you're picking 11th or 12th, you pick 13th or 14th. So
you could pick them late in the second.
Yeah. To me, early in the second.
Yeah. That's what I mean. But to me, it's disrespectful for both these players. And that's me with that. I don't know what they were thinking.
Well, I completely agree with Nick Chubb. I enjoyed talking about that. I mean, I always like when the top 100 comes out. There's always those surprises. Definitely a fun little segment. Let's wrap this up. But before we do, let's kind of get into how the show is going to be looking moving forward into the regular season. We're going to be doing 2 shows a week, a Wednesday show and a Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday and Saturday. We'll break them up, try to have different things going on in each show. And we weren't going to do another show in preseason until week 1 started, but we were itching, ready to get another show out here. So we decided to talk on some preseason news and the NFL top 100, kind of give everyone an idea that our draft's coming up tomorrow night. So we're getting focused on that. Hugh, any last words for the people?
It was definitely an itch for another show. And, we may do another one before the week 1 when we start all this. And, I talk about our sponsor again, with nutrition, with the Key Nutrition. The link will be down below, down there. So check it out. And also, too, give us feedback on the show also. Tell us what you may want to hear, a player or a team or something, what our thoughts are. And, of course, like and subscribe. And, just we're here having fun. Two friends having fun doing a show and trying to give out good information and have a blast. And also, we like to poke fun at each other, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, I can say firsthand, Hugh, you are looking trim. Keep up the good work, buddy. keynutrition.goherbalife.com. Mm-hmm. The link will be down below in the description, like we said. But until next time, we'll be signing off. Maybe we'll come back one more time in the preseason, or it might be week 1 or leading into week 1 on Wednesday. But either way, this show has been a blast. I'm excited to do the next one already. For Hugh, I am Ben. This has been another PSA from the ESA. Thanks for watching.